Hello everybody, it's Wendy, and today we are going to make another beautiful set of jewelry out of Sam's bead box. So I'm using Sam's bead box from March, and I've already made one set. So this is a necklace here. It's so pretty. This turned out really pretty. A necklace, a bracelet, and a pair of earrings out of this anniversary box of Sam's. So there is our first set, and I will link the video for this in the description box below. So I like this one really well. I think it turned out super cute. And so today we're making another full set. So like I said, I'm seeing how many sets I can get out of the box. So this will be set number 2 out of Sam's March bead box. And first of all, our encouraging word for today is you are amazing, you are brave, and you are strong. And I have done the previous challenge videos. Well, one ended up being 2 videos. The other one was one very long video. But this, it just takes too long to make a complete set, and each video turns out to be about 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm having to break it up into several videos, but it is a series, and I will link everything to everything else, okay? So we're going to make a necklace, we're going to make earrings, and we're going to make a bracelet. So first of all, let's do the earrings. These are super simple. I'm using these beautiful check glass fire polish beads from Sam's box in the 10 millimeter. Are those 10? No, those are 8. And the 4 millimeter. And then I'm using these beautiful check glass disc beads. These are just really pretty. I have one ball head pin, one eye pin, one lever back fish hook, or lever back ear wire, and then my beads. So obviously you're going to need double of what I just said. So you're going to need 2 of the 4 millimeter, 4 of the 8 millimeter, 2 of the sunburst bead here, 2 ear wires, 2 eye pins, and 2 ball head pins. Okay, so this is so easy. So we're going to take our little fire polish, our big fire polish, our sunburst bead or disc bead, and our other fire polish bead. And we're just going to make a loop on the top here. Now, I like to make my loops really tiny, so I cut this off a little less than my finger's width, okay? And then I use the end of these very tiny chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to roll back a loop. Okay, just like that. Now remember when you're working with lever backs, because this used to confuse me, it seems to me like this part should be in the front, the wider part. It doesn't. The thinner part goes in the front, so make sure that you, keep that in mind when you're making your earrings. Not that it really matters with this one, because it doesn't necessarily have a front and a back, but if it did, you would want to remember that. Okay, we're just going to insert that loop into this loop and close it right up. Alright, now we're just going to make this little dangle on the bottom. We're taking our ball head pin, picking up our little 4 millimeter bead, if I can. Where is the hole? There we go. And again, making a very tiny loop. And I'm not doing wrap loops. Normally I do with ball head pins, but this is such a tiny little dangle that it doesn't really need to be a wrapped loop. I don't think it's got any danger of coming loose. It's very light, it's not heavy. So we're just going to roll back a small loop with our round nose plier, straighten that up, and then I'm just going to hang this loop onto this loop, and that's it for our earrings. They are done. And there we go. So there's our super cute little pair of earrings with these little dangles on the bottom. Got white paint on me. Okay, now we're going to make the necklace. So, oh, and I didn't mention, you're going to need a little bit of chain, whatever type of chain you want. This is a chain that I bought recently online, and I just think it's pretty. It'll be pretty with this. So that's what I'm going to use. So for the necklace, you're going to need, I believe it's 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of the 8 millimeter fire polish, 6 of the 4 millimeter fire polish, actually make that 7 of those, yeah. This dangle, or another one of these starburst beads, you're going to need 6 head pins, 6 ball head pins, and 1 eye pin. What did I do with my eye pins? Here they are. 1 eye pin. Okay. Then you're going to need several, I'm using, these are 8mm jump rings. These are a 12mm ring. It's a closed ring. You can use any, you can use jump rings, you can use any ring that you have. It doesn't have to be a closed ring, but these are just some closed rings I had in a rose gold, so that's why I'm using those. There's another 8mm. This is a 10mm jump ring just for my lobster claw to clasp onto. And then I've got my chain, okay? So here's how we're gonna do our necklace. I'm just scooting everything aside here right now except for these components. This, and these, except for we don't want that 10mm. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, let me think. Okay, so I got totally distracted and forgot what I was doing. But what I am doing is we are going to make a bunch of little components here. So we're putting our 8mm fire polish bead on and 2 jump rings. I may end up doing more jump rings. I may do 4 of these little 10mm jump rings, yeah. And another one of our 8mm fire polish beads. And this has just kind of got an organic textured look to it when you put these all on here like this. I just like the way they do. And then we're going to make a loop. Now, wait a minute. I did not do it right. See, I have to think because I'm like, what did I do wrong? Okay, we have to hook these together first. Okay, so we're taking our 8mm jump rings. I'm like totally, I know what I'm doing. I know what I want to do, but I have to think it through step by step here for a second. And we're going to do 1, just like that. We're going to hook all 4 of them onto this ring. 2. So we're going to be doing a lot of opening and closing of our jump rings. 3. And 4. Okay. So there's 1. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our bead on the bottom. We're coming up through all of these guys, and we're going to hook our other bead on here. But before we do that, we have to hook all these jump rings to another one of these, okay? So it's making little components is what we're doing, but it's kind of tedious just with the jump rings. So I should have done this in one step, but I kind of wanted to show what we were going to do before I did it, if that makes any sense. Okay, so it probably doesn't make any sense, but I'm trying to make it make sense. Let's put it that way. So there's that one. And I know I totally did this like backwards. I should have done it the other way, but it's okay. It's going to work out. Don't worry. It'll be all right. Okay. So we're just going to hook this guy on next. So there's 2. And the next one I do, I'll show you the easier way. You could just do 2 if you wanted. I just kind of like the look I don't know. I kind of like the look it has with the 4. Let's take a look with the 4, and then we'll go back and look at the 2. The 2's right there, so we know what that looks like. So let's see what it looks like with the 4. I kind of like having them all stacking. I just think it's cool. So let's get this guy on here. Why are you being difficult? Do I have something twisted? Yes, I do. That's why you're being difficult. Okay, there we go. There we go. And then we're going to do do this last one. So it's been a crazy morning. We came home last night. We had gone out to get dinner and came home, and we were on our motorcycles, and there was this little black kitten in our driveway, and it didn't get up and run when we pulled in, which made me wonder if it was hurt, because normally, you know, the motorcycles are kind of loud, and a little kitten would have gotten up and run away. And so it just laid there, and so I got a flashlight and walked out and looked. It was dark outside, and it looked like it was wet on its fur, and so I couldn't tell if it was bleeding or if it was just wet, or, you know, what was going on, but it just acted like it couldn't, you know, it couldn't really get up or anything. And so it was late. It was like 9:30, and so we got a box and put some towels in the box and some food and water in there, and we put it up close to our house. Like I said, you know, it didn't look like there was, like, it wasn't gushing blood, or it didn't look like there was anything really broken or anything like that, but it just acted like that it couldn't, you know, it just acted like it was, something was wrong. And so when we came out this morning, it had tried to crawl out of the box and died. And oh my gosh, I was so sad. It looked so pitiful. And so we had to bury it in the yard. And so it's been a little bit, even though it wasn't my cat, you know, it was still very, it was just a little kitten. And I don't know if it got, I think it probably got hit by a car and had internal injuries, maybe, because it just was, I don't know, it just was pitiful. But I knew that there was something wrong, like it, because it didn't get up and run when we pulled in the driveway. So, but that was very sad. So I've been distracted this morning. But we buried it in the backyard by the fence, and I'm going to make it a little concrete rock or something to put out there with little unknown kitty name on it. Poor little thing. It was sweet. I felt so sorry for it. But anyway, such is life, right? And so I've been distracted today. So here we go. We're doing these, hooking these together with the 4 jump rings. And I know this looks it looks very fiddly. It's really not hard to do at all. We're just, and you don't have to use 4 jump rings. I just kind of like the way it looks. So that's why I'm doing that. So just hook them together. And we're going to do, I think, just one more. And then I'll show you what we're going to do in between each one. May end up doing, yeah, no, just one more, I think. So I'm just laying them side by side and hooking them together with the 4 jump rings. Some of these jump rings, this one's really thick. Doesn't look any different than the others really, but it seems thicker. All right, one more. And here's what it does. It just creates kind of a, almost like a little chainmail string. Chainmail chain, whatever you want to call it. Just making a little focal. Okay, so here's what we've got. So now we're going to take our bead on our head pin, and we're just going to stick it through here. We are going to put our other fire polish bead on top, just like this. Okay, and then we're going to make just a small loop. Now, here's what you want to do. You want to make sure that these are pushed together, but you don't want it to be like super, super tight. You want it to have a little movement and flow. So just be a little bit careful to not do it too terribly tight when you're making your loop here. I mean, you don't want it to be floating all over. You definitely want it to be secure, but just, it needs to have a little bit of movement in there, okay? So I'm just doing the same thing that I did on the earrings. I'm just cutting this very small and going to roll back a very small loop. Okay, just like this. There's one. We're going to do that 3 more times. So we've got our one, putting it right through here. Now you do want to make sure that all your loop parts, so we've got a head pin part on top, the loop part on the bottom, you want to make sure all your loop parts are on the same side, okay? That'll be important. So like, I'm making sure all mine are, all the head pin tops are on the same side and all the loops are on the same side. See what I mean there? 2 loops there, 2 head pin tops there. I want to do it the same way the whole way through. So here's this, this, and this. Okay, we're just going to bend that 90 degrees. Roll our little loop back. Okay, just like that. So now we have 3. And another one. Okay. Same thing. Okay, there we go. So here's what we have. We've got all 4. And you'll want to just make sure that your rings lay behind them, okay? So the loops actually need to be on the bottom. So there's that. Now, I'm trying to decide if I want to do 2 more. Yeah, I'm actually going to have to because, okay, yeah, I do. I have to do 2 more. So let me get some more jump rings. Okay. And the reason I have to do 2 more is because we're going to hang this piece from the middle ring. So, I mean, I guess I don't have to do 2 more, but I want to. I think it would look better. Okay. So I'm going to grab 2 more of my rings. Where did my Sam's bead box go? Here we go. So I'm grabbing 2 more rings here. And I'm just going to do the same thing that I've been doing. So I'm just going to hook these together. Okay, so hook your 2 rings on with your 4 little rings, just like we've been doing, and make your 2 your 2 middle pieces here, and come right back. Okay, so here's what we have. Now, we're going to take our little ball head pins, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. And then 1 left over we may dangle from this one. So we're going to take, just like we did on our earring here. See this little dangle? That's exactly the same thing that we're going to do. We're going to take our ball head pin, put our little 4mm fire polish bead on, and make a very, very, very small little loop here. Okay. And I'm just making the teeniest, tiniest little loops with the very end of these round nose pliers. And then we're going to hang each little loop from each of these little components. Okay, so just like that. And just pick it back up and lay it back down there. Okay, so do that to all of your little components. Now, one thing I'm noticing is my rings are kind of sliding front to back because I did my components kind of loose. If I had done them tighter, the rings would stay more in place, but I just kind of like I like them having a little bit of flexibility, and I'll see how it does when I put it on. If they stay like this, then I'll just leave it. If not, I may tighten up a couple of those, but we'll see. So go ahead and make your little dangles here and hook them right on and come right on back. Okay, so we've got all our little dangles hooked on. Now we're going to take this little guy, and I think what we're going to do with him is make a loop, and I'm going to do a wrapped loop on him. I'm going to hang him directly from this ring here. So I'm coming up just a little from the bead. I'm going to bend it 90 degrees. And then with my round nose pliers in this bend, I'm going to take my wire and come up and over. So here's what it looks like, a little question mark, sort of. I'm going to rotate my pliers up, okay? And I'm going to come on under. Now, here is where I have to hook it on if I want it to hang from this wrap loop. I think I'm going to hang mine from a small jump ring, only because I want it to hang down a little bit further than it is going to with just the loop. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my wrap loop. But if you want to hang it directly from your wrapped loop onto there and your ring is a closed ring, then you need to go ahead and put it on there and then wrap your loop. But like I said, I think I'm gonna, and I like this little coil on this wrapped loop is gonna make it look kind of like the jump rings here. So that's my plan for this. I'm just wrapping around several times. I'm having a hard time wrapping around several times for some reason, but there we go. It's in the way, my little snaggle. Okay, so we're going to trim this little guy off. Now somebody asked me the other day to show up close how I tuck these snags in, so I'm going to do that if I can ever trim it off. First of all, I take it and I just trim it, you know, to where it's not quite so long. And then I take my crimpers. See these ridges? These ridges are perfect for helping close these. And I just take it and just tuck it down with my crimping pliers. And it works perfectly every time. And see there, it's just tucked down. So it's not going to snag on anything. Now, I'm going to take one of my jump rings, just the ones I've been using. And I'm just going to hang this guy directly from this middle ring and close that up. Okay, just like that. Now I'm going to make another little dangle just like we've been doing with the little 4mm guy here. Same thing that we've been doing. Bending 90 degrees. Trimming it. And rolling it back with my round nose pliers. And I'm just going to hook it right onto this little dangle here. And if I can get it to hook on there like I want it to, here is what we've got. Okay, so here's our earring. And they match really well. So what I'm going to do now is take my chain. Now, you have to decide how long you want to make this. I think this needs to hang up towards the top of, or right around my collarbone. I wouldn't want it much longer than that. So you kind of have to measure your chain according to that. So I'm just going to hold my chain up here. And I don't need very much on each side to accomplish hanging it right around my collarbone. So by the time I get a clasp on and everything, that's probably going to be more than enough. So let me see how long that is. It's right about 12 inches. Yeah, 12 inches of chain. So I'm going to measure two 12-inch lengths of my chain. Just cutting them exactly the same. Okay. These little cutters they've seen better days, I'm telling you. Okay. And now all I'm going to do is hook these on with the jump rings. I'm just going to do one jump ring per side, not layering them this time. And I'm just going to hook the chain right on. So let me see if this jump ring will even go through this chain. It may not. I may have to get a thinner one. I think it will go through right there. Maybe. Yeah, it does. Okay. Just hooking this directly on. And closing it up. I've got it upside down, don't I? Okay. Same thing over here. This chain that I've got, you have to make sure these little pieces get trimmed off all the way, or there's not enough room for the jump ring to go through there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hook these on. I'm just hooking it right to that middle component that we made. I just dropped a bunch of beads on the floor. Did you hear them? Okay, so there that is. Now we're just going to put our clasp on. Just pick those up. I dropped a bunch of the little 4mm guys on the floor. I think that's very pretty. Okay, so we're just going to put our clasp on. So I'm using one of these larger jump rings. If it'll go through there for the lobster to clasp onto. Let's see if it will. I may have to attach it with another one. Yeah, it's too fat to go through there. So we'll attach it with this one. You could put an extender on if you wanted to, if you were going to sell it and you just want to make sure that, you know, it would fit everybody. You could do that. Okay. And I'm just going to put, I know the lobster would clasp onto that littler one, but I like to have a bigger one for the lobster. I don't know why, it just makes it easier. And then I'm just going to take another jump ring and hook the lobster on the other side. So right it through here. And here's our lobster. And here is our beautiful little necklace. So here's our necklace. Here's our earrings. And we're going to do a bracelet. Now the bracelet we're going to do very similar to the necklace. I'm just going to pull it right over here, the stuff I have for it. It's basically the same exact design as the necklace. Well, sort of, yeah. Okay, so we're taking our rings here. This is going to hook together in the middle here with an eye pin. Okay, so you need an eye pin. I keep putting my eye pins back for some reason. Okay, and all we're going to do is we're going to take one of our little 4mm and then this guy and another little 4mm. Okay, so just like that, we're going to bend this 90 degrees and make a small loop. Doesn't have to be as tiny as the other loops we've been making because it does need to fit over this ring. Okay, whoops, can't roll it back with a chain nose plier, can I? Not really. Okay, I'm going to roll this loop back with my round nose pliers. About right there. Okay, and then we're just going to take this and we are going to hook it on to one ring on each side. Okay, so there's one. And you want to make sure that your rings are closed up good, these little eye pin loops that we've made, because if they're not, they will definitely come undone. And again, if you want to use your crimpers to close these, it works out a little easier because it kind of gets a grip in there on them. in those little indentations, and it's great for closing those. Okay, so there's that one. And then we're going to do this other one. And same thing. Get up in there. And you can, like if you're having trouble getting it up in there, just hold it like this and then squeeze this shut, and that'll keep it up in there. There we go. So we've got our eye pin with our rings. Now we're going to do the same basic thing that we did. We're going to hook with our 4 jump rings. There's 4 there. And 1, 2, 3, 4 here. We're going to hook these 2 together, and we're going to make the little components that we did here and put them right in between, just like we did on the necklace. Then we're going to do our little dangles with the 4mm. Okay, so just exactly like this, only down here. Okay, and this is just laying sideways instead of dangling. So we're going to hook these 2 together with these 2 together with these, and then we're going to make the little dangles for each one. So once you're done with that, come on back. Okay, so here we have our bracelet components, and we're just going to add chain on either side to make it the length that you need it. So I have a very small wrist, so this is going to cover half of my wrist, a little bit more than half. So I don't need very much chain at all on either side to make it plenty long enough for me. So let me get my ruler out here. If this is, my wrist is about 6.5 inches. So I make my bracelets about, I don't know, 6 3/4 or so. So this is about 3 1/4. So I need what? Just about an inch. I'm going to put 2 inches on either side just to make it look right. And it might be a little bit longer, but I can tighten it up if I need to with my lobster. I can put rings, you know, extra rings. So let's see, let's do about, I'm going to do right at 2 inches per side, because otherwise it's going to look like, I don't know, I just always have so few options with bracelets because there's not that many beads I can fit on there, unless I do like a multi-strand or a wrap or something, memory wire or something like that. But these single strand bracelets, I always want to use more beads than I've got available. So, and I thought the one that I did for this other kit, this one, turns out, look how tiny it looks, but it fits me. It's just super little, but my wrists are just little. Oh, weird. Okay. That's the only part of my body that's little. I wish that, you know, I had been little somewhere else, actually. I was when I was younger, not now. All right, let's put this guy on here. I am short, I gotta say that. I'm only 5'1", so I am short. Okay. All right, now we're going to take the jump rings just like we've been doing, and we're just going to hook this together. And I can always remove a link or two if I need to, but I want to make sure that it looks right. It doesn't look weird, like, you know, there's no chain on there. So I'm just putting them on like we've been doing. And then I am going to just lay it across my wrist and see, make sure that I do have enough. Oh yeah, that's right about perfect actually. Okay, so I'm going to add on the lobster. And a ring for the lobster to clasp onto. And honestly, that'll probably make it right about a good length for me. So here's our, I'm going to add our lobster on. I see that adds a little extra length too. So yeah, I am gonna have to take a link out by the time I put the lobster on with the jump ring and everything. It's gonna be too big. So I'm gonna go up. I'm just gonna take one link off each side to start with, just to, because I don't want to get it too short, but that'll account for the jump ring. So let's do that. And I'm going to take a link off this side. I have to use these bigger jump rings because these little links are so tiny that the smaller, fatter ones won't fit through here, the thicker gauge. So I kind of have to use these larger size ones. I might just use this though and not add another jump ring. I may just use this jump ring for the lobster to clasp onto. So let's take a look and see how long it is now. Yeah, that's perfect. That's plenty of room for the lobster to clasp onto. So there's our bracelet. So we made a necklace, bracelet, and set of earrings. So this is the second set that I've gotten out of Sam's March bead box. I'm seeing how many sets that I can get out of one Sam's bead box. Now this bead box still has tons of beads left, so there's going to be way more sets. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, you need to subscribe so you know when I upload these things, okay? Because there's, like I said, there's several more beads in there, so we're going to do several more sets, and I'm just trying to get this guy to lay right. Why are you doing? Oh, he's through there. That's why. Okay, I'm like, why is he acting like that? There we go. All right. So necklace, bracelet, and earrings, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see you then. Bye.